Hello indie game fans, pixels and RPGs go hand in hand like peanut butter and jelly, so here's a look at 10 of the best, with a nice mix between turn-based and action titles. For more on this first game, check out the video linked above, and without further ado, let's get into the list. Alright, so Evoland Legendary Edition isn't exactly pure pixel art, but it's a walk down memory lane, exploring the various art styles and looks of RPG history, making it a must-play if you grew up with games. We have 8-bit, 16-bit, and even early polygonal stuff, with a meta story and writing which is pretty good. This edition combines Evoland 1 and 2 into a single package, making it a bang for your buck, and I think that it's a good entry to set the tone for this video. I've mentioned Shadows of Adam a number of times, even mentioning it as a must-get in one of the recent Steam sales, and it's a very classic and very retro title, coming to us from developer Something Classic Games, which, of course, is no surprise. It has quite the classic narrative setup as well, where two youngsters must follow in the footsteps of their heroic father in order to stop an evil from engulfing the land, but it does have a twist where the legendary hero has a dark secret as well. Me being me, I do love the sprites, both overworld and in combat, as well as the environment, and without a doubt, indie developers like this are carrying that retro RPG into a new age. The newest title on this list is Ikenfell, a magic school RPG where you play as a young lady who enrolled into the school to search for her missing sister. There's something sinister and dark going on at the school, where shadowy creatures, monsters and bosses roam the halls, all wrapped up with a wonderful, charming pixel art style. While a little simpler in look, I think that it totally works for this game, but the turn-based combat does have some elements of Mario RPG, where pressing buttons at the right time would net you some sort of benefit. There's also a tactical grid and positional based elements adding to the combat, and it's an excellent game for you to live out your Magic Academy fantasy. Now hear me out, while Tangledeep is perhaps best known as a mystery dungeon style roguelike RPG, there is the option to turn off permadeath, turning it into a regular dungeon delving RPG with a large variety of character classes and RPG systems. It's one of my favorite roguelikes, so turning off that mode makes it an awesome RPG as well, and really, traditional roguelikes are just grid-based RPGs with permadeath and procedural generation, so it counts in my book. Love the 16-bit look of this, especially the sprites of the characters, making it a no-brainer for the list. Our first action RPG is Chronicon, a Diablo-like title where you relive the memories of great heroes using the titular object with a huge variety of upgrade and crafting systems which will make any fan of loot-based RPGs very happy. Yes, I know, it might not look that fantastic, but trust me, the action and gameplay more than makes up for it. It did spend quite a bit of time in early access to the tune of a couple of years, but all that time has given the developer the feedback required to make this excellent. While the trailer does show off the more hectic, screen-filling stuff, the game does start off rather manageable, but you do gradually ramp up, so there's no need to be intimidated since it guides you along quite nicely. Endgame content is well made as well, so if you do love Diablo and have not gotten this, what are you waiting for? Lisa the Painful is a very strange, very weird, but a good game, although recommending this always comes with caveats since it does have quite a dark sense of humour. From the combat screen, this looks like Earthbound, but it's about the misery of a broken man. There are 30 plus party members to recruit, which are completely expendable, where you can send them to play Russian roulette for great reward, but run the risk of permanently losing them if they fail, where your character itself might have to sacrifice body parts, such as chopping off an arm or losing an eye, all in a very grim and depressing world. If you thought pixel art RPGs were all fun and games, this will change your opinion, where I completely understand if you choose not to engage with it, but it's quite the statement in the genre. A title that I try to push every chance that I get is the wonderful Virgo Vs the Zodiac, where you play as the villain Virgo, wanting to restore the golden age and order to the world, and having to fight against the other astrological signs and their heretical followers in order to do so. Similar active turn-based combat system with different stances or states for our protagonist, indicated by the colour of her outfit, where defending in particular is an integral part of the game, giving combat a unique feel. I love the pixel art here, although the lack of outlines does not make it pop, but fun designs, awesome characters, and some interesting interpretations of the zodiac signs makes it worth the price of admission. Additionally, to the chagrin of some, there are some non-RPG sections like bullet hell sequences which people might dislike, although I think that it's fine and works for the pacing. It's criminally overlooked, perhaps since it was released in December, so again, if there are any indie developers out there, do try to avoid that month if you can. I'm a big fan of developer Zboyd who specializes in JRPGs, with Cosmic Star Heroine being their best title to date, although their other games like Cthulhu Saves the World and Breath of Death 7 are totally worth a play as well. This is a sci-fi JRPG story where you play as an agent of a galactic organization who stumbles upon the dark conspiracy, mind control, and the corruption of the group, so certainly not a surprise given the setting, but a very compelling story indeed. I particularly like the cast of characters which you can recruit, from a pop star wielding laser knives to a gunmancer, which, yes, is someone that can summon and control guns with their mind. Interesting combat system as well, making it one of the best entries you can play right now. Undertale has to make an appearance on this list since I don't want to get eviscerated by its rabid fans, but putting the fandom aside, I do think that it's a very clever, subversive entry that's pretty good. One of the games that absolutely took over the world, the story is the main draw, with some very well designed characters, with its share of puzzles, secrets, and combat as well. People do compare this to Earthbound, which I do think is inaccurate, since while combat is turn-based, enemy attacks and abilities come in the form of a bullet hell avoid 'em up, which I know is not for everyone, but certainly stick with it and see it through. Very interesting in terms of design as well, which I shall not spoil, but go play this if you somehow have not. And of course, Crosscode comes in at number 1, since it's a 16-bit action-adventure RPG that is absolutely massive, and in searching for modern indie games like this, I did come up short, so it's rather special and without peer. It's set in an MMORPG, but don't worry, it's completely single player, but it does allow for some clever writing and breaking the fourth wall. Our mute protagonist hides some secret, having to hide out in this virtual world to avoid her enemies, but the minute-to-minute action, exploration, puzzles, combat and more are just so compelling. I love the look of this, being 16-bit spectacular, reminding me of games like Secret of Mana, the Ys series, or even Terra Nigma, so if you have any nostalgia for those and are craving something new, this is the title to get. This clocks in at something like 30 hours for the main story and about 50 if you include side missions and extra content, so for that kind of price for this kind of experience makes it hard to beat, taking the number 1 spot. To see more of the big picture, check out these awesome videos and I will see you after the jump.